What's going on, Ben? Thank you guys for joining. If you guys can see me and hear me, let me know. I'm sharing my screen right now. Thumbs up in the chat if you can see and hear me. Hello, hello. Like I said, I'm going to give everyone just a couple more minutes to get in here and then we will get started. If you guys want to drop in the chat where are you guys tuning in from and how did you guys find out about this? Are we friends on Facebook or did you find it in a group or how did you guys find out about the masterclass? Oh, wow, in England, that's awesome. We got Pittsburgh, North Carolina, awesome. So I'm actually coming from you live from Grand Prairie, Texas. So awesome how we all tend to find each other somehow. It's pretty crazy how these things are working nowadays. Oh, okay, yeah, that is right. Awesome. $10 p.m. Gotcha. So this will be about an hour, so I won't keep you up too late past your bedtime or anything. All right, let me make sure. Yeah, I got I think it came out to 19 people registered, but usually the percentages, I'll probably be lucky if I have maybe 1 or 2 more people join on. I'm hoping if I have any technical difficulties, please stay on here. I had a ton of them last time. And so it was one of those things that, yeah, it was a lot of fun. This is my second masterclass, so still learning on all the technical difficulties and how to navigate that stuff. So if at any point you guys get dropped, just come back into the room. I don't think there should be an issue with that. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. I'll go ahead and slowly get started on this, as I know we'll probably have more people slowly kind of jump in. I'm gonna kind of be managing. Awesome. Kind of be managing my messenger because last time I didn't pay attention to my Facebook messenger and I had people trying to join that I didn't know and they got locked out and so they didn't get to join at all. So anyways, hi Sherry. Awesome. So I'm going to slowly get this started now. So thank you guys all so much for joining me on how to overcome imposter syndrome victoriously. So first thing first, as always, I hope you are all having a beautiful start to your day or evening, I should say, depending upon where you're at right now. I truly have, I think the universe just kind of gives me things like it puts me in alignment with things that really need to be kind of just stuck. And it kind of imposter syndrome has been something that's been on my heart a lot lately, whether it be a random podcast that I come across or a random post or something that just resonates with me a lot. So with that being said, it's one of those things that I felt like this was truly necessary for the crazy times that we're living in. And in order to help those that are feeling stuck and not wanting to take action in their lives. Because I feel like imposter syndrome is truly a big, just kind of a weight and a burden that keeps us from feeling like we can move forward and taking action in our lives. So with that being said, who am I? Who am I to tell you all about this? I am Victoria. I am a growth mindset coach, owner of Victoria's Lifestyle Coaching. I have just changed my niche actually in the past few weeks, and that came from really overcoming imposter syndrome and self-doubt and limiting beliefs. Because when I started coaching, I realized I've been coaching for a lot longer than just when I got started in the coaching program that I'm in. But with that being said, I always told myself I wanted to coach coaches one day. Like, but I needed to get a bunch of experience first. I need to master coaching, people on weight loss or on self-love, and then I can start coaching coaches. And for me, really overcoming that, like I was mentoring 5 coaches on the side of coaching people with self-love and body weight image issues and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, it kind of was like a light bulb moment, like, why am I mentoring people on something I'm passionate about and coaching people about something that was a pain point for me? And I do know how to coach people through that. But at the same time, that's not the pain point that was a bigger problem for me that resonates as early as the pain point of being a new coach, finding my confidence as a coach, and having that kind of just integrity and confidence that when I go live on Facebook, when I'm starting to brand myself as a coach, I do it with confidence, I do it with empowerment, and I do it with such clarity that I don't think twice about pushing live or posting content, that I'm confident in the coach that I'm becoming. And I think that a resonating pain point that I've come across with a lot of new coaches is that when they first start out, that ability to power through this limiting belief or this imposter syndrome of like, who am I to be coaching coaches? My life's not perfect. I've got problems. And, I'm definitely a firm believer that if you're perfect, you're boring. So like, embrace the imperfections that you hold, because if you were to be perfect, no one, like, it completely takes away from the fun and authenticity and uniqueness about you. And so embracing those imperfections and those flaws and learning how to just be yourself, and your ideal clients and your ideal people will come to you your vibe is attracted to your tribe. And just got to see if my wife can join. Gotcha. And so for me, I'm the owner of Victorious Lifestyle Coaching. I'm a mother of 2 fur babies. One will be kind of vocal in the background. I apologize. Lover of all things creepy. As you can see, I'm definitely into FX makeup. That's like a pastime hobby of mine. Gym junkie and yogi lover, survivor of addiction, depression, and anxiety. And some kind of roles I play in my life is leader, entrepreneur, friend, sister, daughter, and lover of life. So anyways, guys, drop in the comments now for me if any of those things resonate with you. Are you into anything creepy as well? Do you have fur babies at home? Or are you a mom? Are you a yogi junkie? Does any of this resonate with you personally? And what do you guys do? Are you a coach? Are you someone who is an entrepreneur? Are you someone who is just starting out? Have you been in the game for a while? Kind of just drop a little bit about yourselves in the comments below, just so I can get to know you guys as we kind of move through this. All right, so what is imposter syndrome? What is imposter syndrome? I think a lot of people have an idea of what it is, but with that being said, I think that knowing what it is and facing it for what it is truly crucial in overcoming those limiting beliefs that come when you have this kind of trigger in your day-to-day life. So I'm going to go through the comments really fast. And awesome. Wanting to step up as a coach and service provider online. Awesome, Ben. I'm an emotional intelligence, joy, and connection coach for women. I totally resonate with the overcoming anxiety, right? That I truly just resonate with all of that so very much. Awesome. We got someone else joining. Just in time, Janice. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm just getting started. So if you guys want to drop in the comments where you guys are resonating from, or where you guys are, tuning in from, and give me a thumbs up in the comments if you guys can hear everything. If you have any connection issues, raise your hand and I can make sure that there is no disconnects throughout this. So what is imposter syndrome? So imposter syndrome is simply a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their talents or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. So I feel like that long, complicated sentence basically means that you and your life and the roles that you're playing, you're waiting for someone to come knock on that door and tell you, who the hell do you think you are trying to do this? Who are you to try to be a coach, try to move up in the world, or try to voice who you are in a social media platform? At least those are some things for me that's where that resonates for me. I think the idea of feeling like a fraud when you're not perfect and being a perfectionist, it really being a perfectionist really fuels that imposter syndrome vibe, right? It really starts to create this pattern of, if it's not perfect, then who are you to post it? If it's not perfect, if you don't have a script, if you don't have everything to a T, then it's not worth putting out there in the world, because then you're just going to look like a fraud, like you don't know what you're doing. And I think that embracing that imperfection in yourself, and just not just as an individual, but as in any role that you play in life, embracing that uniqueness about you is truly key in order to step into that greatness, step into what your heart is calling you to do in life. And it's crazy because, a lot of people think, this is what I know and this is what everybody else knows. Everyone else is so much more experienced. Everyone else knows all the things, right? They know all the things and I don't know a damn thing. And really, in reality, everyone knows just as much as you do to some extent. Maybe not in the capacity of, on something specific. Like if you are just completely if you completely research something, you might have more experience or have more knowledge on one aspect or another, but that doesn't mean another person doesn't have that same experience or that same capacity to take in that knowledge, right? So for, to take this in, to see that like, this is such a key example of like, most people don't know much more than you do. They just perceive themselves as someone who is an expert in the field that they're in. How you present yourself can really either cause people to like, damn, she knows what she's talking about, or she doesn't know a damn thing of what she's talking about. And that fear of not feeling like you're going to show up as if you know what you're talking about can truly be the reason why you are held back from showing up at all, from even taking a chance, And I think that these little ideas, these little negative self-narratives that we tell ourselves, that I'm just lucky, I'm a fraud, they're going to be on me, others are better. Like, who am I to get out there and try, because I'm just going to fail. And I think that fear of failure and that self-doubt and that spiral that comes with being scared of who you might be presented as and being called out for not being an expert leads to not wanting to even get out there at all. So all these little self-doubts, all these little narratives, these stories that we tell ourselves that, maybe back in the day, I wasn't, being a bartender 7 days a week. Yeah, I wasn't the best about pushing self-care, self-love, and self-worth, but I've developed into this person now where that is something I truly push with every client and every person I meet, because that is now who I am. I've rewritten my story from someone who did not value self-love or self-worth or self-care to someone who takes that as a top priority. And it's not because that old version of me didn't appreciate those aspects in life, doesn't mean that this new version of me can't take these things as seriously as I do. And it's like reframing who you used to be to who you want to become, and giving yourself that permission to flow with that and realize, embracing the new version. Exactly, Ben, embracing who you want to be in this moment and who you're trying to develop to who you're developing in the midst of, becoming that person, And so, imposter syndrome is normal and common and does not discriminate. I think if I saw correctly, it was over 70% of people have such severe imposter syndrome that they don't take action in their lives. It was some crazy percentage like that. And I mean, some people I've posted on here, Albert Einstein, Maya Angelou, Lady Gaga, these people are seen as like top dog, like the most successful in their realms, right? Even these people at the end of the day had imposter syndrome, truly felt like they were a fraud in the field that they were in. And so even the biggest experts out there have those moments where they feel like they're not good enough, like they're a fraud for even putting their message out there. But the difference between them and other people is that they powered through that feeling of being an imposter. They didn't let that be the catalyst that held them back, but pushed them forward and creating their amazing works of art that they did, whether in science or in language or in music and the different realms that they are in. And so with that being said, it's like, so how do you overcome those moments of self-doubt? How do you overcome those negative self-narratives that you have, or that lack of self-worth, or feeling like a fraud? And how do you make sure that it doesn't hold you back, but it pushes you forward? How do you use it to your advantage and figure out, okay, so if this is how I feel right now, how do I differentiate from fact from fiction? Is what I'm telling myself even real life, or what I think people are perceiving me to be? And with that being said, we're going to go through some key steps that I feel like for myself personally, and from just what I've, kind of dove headfirst and researching all this stuff, the 5 key things that I've taken away from all of this, in order for me to break through from the cycle of imposter syndrome and that spiral that takes us to the place of not taking any action and just kind of being immobilized in that fear and that fraud, that fear of looking like a fraud. So with that being said, breaking the silence, realizing you are not alone, having someone in your corner to tell you that you are not a fraud. Why not vocalize what you are scared of? Having an accountability buddy, having a coach, having a partner, having a friend, someone to tell you that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, reaffirming that the actions that you want to take are in your best favor, that you're not a fraud to want to become a coach. You're not a fraud to want to quit your 9 to 5. You're not a fraud if you want to quit drinking and help people overcome addictions. That doesn't make you a fraud. It doesn't make you a fraud to want to change your life and rewrite your story and become this person that you've envisioned for yourself. And as you become that person, it's easy to let that self-doubt and that narrative tell you, who are you to take action? Who are you to get out there? They're going to think you're crazy for getting out there. It was, for me, it was really hard to break out of that in the beginning of becoming a coach, because I went from, like I said, bartending 7 nights a week and, fueling people's coping mechanisms, to trying to deviate from that and help people through those, outside of those coping mechanisms, and really rebranding myself, my identity as someone who takes self-care, self-love, and takes the idea of coping through addiction seriously. And it was really hard for me to get away from that identity of someone who didn't value those things to someone who did. And so it's really sitting down with yourself and sitting down with someone and getting that off of your chest, telling yourself it's okay to be vulnerable. I think it's really easy to feel like you've got to be perfect on every aspect with every person in your life. And it's really easy to allow that idea of, if I show weakness or if I show vulnerability, I'm weak. I definitely did. I definitely did, Ben. And for me, it was no, sharing my story was truly key in becoming relatable to people. Sharing my story of overcoming depression, anxiety, addiction truly allowed me to resonate with people who are who watches my content, who watches the lives that I do and the content that I put out there. Because instead of this being Miss Perfect every day, I'm definitely far from it. I'm very big on, I'm good with words, but that doesn't mean I'm perfect. I'm good with going live, but it's because I embrace that. And I've trained my brain to not hesitate when I go to push live, and I've stepped into this level of confidence now within myself of shedding those limiting beliefs and shedding that old identity that no longer serves me. And I've stepped into this next phase of my life, and knowing that breaking my silence and telling people I am not perfect. I'm far from it. I have, fucked up more times than I can tell you, but I've embraced that rather than being ashamed of it, and really stepped out of that identity that told me that I wasn't good enough to help serve, save, and change lives, that there was more to my story than what I was telling myself. And so number 2, moving on, separate feelings from facts. So at the end of the day, realizing the story you're telling yourself is probably fictitious. It's probably a bunch of BS, limiting BS. So limiting belief system, that those beliefs that you have engraved about yourself are truly, they all are compromised with all the experiences, how you were raised, what you were told as a child, how you were shown love. Those moments of rejection, those moments that really instill in you when you're being brought up, that tells you that you aren't good enough to get out there. There's a lot of little key moments that when you're upbringing that really develop the person that you become when you're an adult. And we usually don't realize that, we realize oh, childhood doesn't have that big of an effect, and it really does. And it really starts to kind of fog out and mark up the story of our lives, because the facts from fiction is that you can be exactly who you want to be at any point in your life. It's just about dropping that fictitious and those feelings of like, who am I to do this? Who am I to get out there? It's like, you are the best version of you. There is no one else out there like you. There's tons of coaches, but there's not any coach that's going to coach someone like they are going to be coached by you. And there's some people that won't get a coach until they find you. There's some people that just don't resonate. I mean, I don't trust people who don't like Tony Robbins. I'm just going to put that out there, right? I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, but my thing is I speak, you know, some people who don't resonate with Tony Robbins' message, I can put that in my own words and they'll listen to me, so I can push that motivation into people's news feeds instead of there just being all this junk there, right? And so telling myself that I'm allowed to become this next version of myself, putting the facts down that I am more than qualified to put my lives out there in the world. I am more than qualified to change someone's life. I have the experience. I've lived through it. I'm a walking version of what I have to transform someone else's life. So really separating those feelings from like, oh, I don't feel good enough. Well, where's the fact in that? What has made you not feel good about yourself, about what you have to offer the world? Look at the experiences, the facts of what you've gone through, and really just kind of take apart that story and put those feelings to the side and really just look at the facts. Are you qualified or not? Okay, and if you're not, what can we do to really develop some skills to make you feel like that'll take you to that next level? Like, oh, I've dabbled in this a little bit, but I just don't feel like I'm ready to take this on full time. Okay, well, what do we need to do to break through from that? That might be a fact for you. Let's really develop and dive deeper on that rather than, oh, well, I just don't feel good enough, so I'm never going to try. Let's create a plan of action rather than let those feelings hold you back from ever even getting out there. You know, moving on to focusing on the positive. I think in the world that we live in right now, there is nothing but negative Nancy's everywhere you turn. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, what's the word? Your perspective. There we go. Positive perspective on, I might have some brain farts here or there. You'll just have to kind of power through with me. But the power of perspective, I think it's so easy to like just dwell on all the negative in your life and realize what's the point? What's the point? What is this one live going to actually do? I went live yesterday and I only got 2 likes. Like, what's the point of even getting out there? Well, you need to realize 2 things. 1, that is 2 people that you impacted. Are those 2 lives not worth impacting? Is it worth holding back your message because you only got 2 likes? And not only that, but how many people took that and took your message and that changed their life in some way, shape, or form? And they were just too scared to hit the like button or too scared to comment. People are watching. Yes, they are, so much so. And focusing on not the negative or, oh, it's not resonating. Well, you know, maybe we need to relook at the way your engagement is with your content, right? That's completely fine. We can reframe that, reshift that, but it doesn't mean you don't get out there, because your mess is your message. Your mess is your message. And there is a message to be heard from people who are still in those pain points, feeling stuck, feeling alone, that you can help them with. And holding back on that story, on that negative narrative that you have, is holding back something that could truly change someone's life. Because when you realize, like, it's not just about you, there's a bigger picture out there. And it's not about the likes or the comments or the views. It's about the impact that you have, that domino effect of impact. And seeing the bigger picture and having that positive perspective on, you know what, it's not about how many likes I get. It's not about how many people show up to my masterclass. It's not about, you know, what that engagement looks like. It's about that I'm going to still show up even when it's hard. Even when it's hard, I'm going to stay positive, because I know that there's a bigger message to be served here. There's a bigger purpose than that, you know. And it's very easy to go scroll through, you know, hi, Kara. It's really easy to scroll through your newsfeed and just focus on all the negative and nothing that's going right. But when you take a step back and realize there is so much more positive to be observed there than the negative, that shift in perspective from like, I'm not just going to go out and find everything wrong. There's no way that it's already a shitty day at 8 a.m. There's no way it's already a shitty day at 8 a.m. I have people that post stuff like that on my newsfeed, and it's like, why Why is it already shitty? You know what? I can tell you one good thing that you can always start your day with. Did you wake up this morning? Did you wake up? That's a good thing. Then it's a good day. You know, reframe out of that perspective of, oh, woe is me, this isn't working, or, oh, I thought my business would be here. Okay, well, what do we need to do in order to take action, right? What do we need to transition? What do we need to pivot? Is the content not resonating with your ideal clients? Is the message you're getting out there attracting the wrong clients? I had that happen a lot too, you know, and it's not about when you don't get the results, letting that be a setback in a negative way, but let that be that positive impact that tells you, okay, this isn't working. So what are we going to do to reframe this? What am I going to do to get out of this imposter syndrome of like, who am I? I'm not getting the client, so it's not working. Or who am I to get out there because it doesn't relate like I'm wanting it to. I'm not getting these expectations that I have for getting out there and trying something new isn't aligning with what I thought was going to happen. And that disconnect from expectations to what your reality is, that is where disappointment lives, right there, in that gap. You know, remember this: expectations, reality, that gap is where disappointment lives. So to avoid disappointment at all costs, and it's not to lower your expectations, but keep those standards high and your expectations low, you know, to always use what happens to you. It's happening, number one, for you, okay, not to you. And not only that, but let that be the catalyst that pushes you forward, that pivots. Are you going to be resilient? Are you going to let one setback hold you back? Are you going to be resilient? Are you going to let that setback be let that setback be a setup for a comeback? There we go. Les Brown for the win. So at the end of the day, reframing your perspective to have that positive impact of like, just because something didn't work doesn't mean I'm a fraud. Just because something didn't resonate with someone or someone didn't like the content I put out there doesn't mean I'm a fraud. That just means they're not my people, you know, and staying positive through the setback, staying positive through the expectations, because as humans, we still have that. Just remember to keep those standards high and the expectations low. And on now, befriending failures and mistakes. Sorry. Befriending failures and mistakes. So for me, this was a really hard pill to swallow because I think everyone has their own perspective on what failure means to them. And it's usually in a pretty negative light instead of a positive one. So for me, having that relationship, that friendship with failure, reframing that from it being a negative one to a positive one was such a life-changing perspective for me. Because for me, being excited about failures, being excited about the mistakes I made, you know, and learning from other people's mistakes and embracing that, because those are lessons learned. You know, it's great to have success. Of course, there's nothing wrong with success, but you truly have the opportunity to grow when you fail. You truly have an opportunity to expand outside of what you're doing and have those challenges in life. When everything comes easy, you don't value it. But when you have to work for it, that truly adds value to what you are doing, to the content you're putting out there, to when you can finally say you made it through all the failures, through all the setbacks, through all the mistakes that you made. Because dwelling on failures and dwelling and letting those failures fuel that fraud fire that you have within your brain, letting that fire, like letting that fuel that mentality will keep you from even trying again. What's the point? I failed once. What's the point? I tried a couple different things, it didn't work. What's the point? And realizing that right there, it can make or break your business. It can make or break how you show up moving forward in life. Are you going to take a chance or are you going to play it safe? Because those who play it safe never truly thrive in life, in my opinion. It's a very just mundane, and, you know, because for me, I finally burned my ships. I have put the notice into my 9-to-5, you know, because I truly believe in my coaching to that extent that I knew that for me to be a full-time coach, for me to really thrive in my business, I had to go all in without the fear of failure holding me back. I had to really accept the fact that this might not be as easy, or definitely won't be easy, I should say. It definitely won't be easy. There'll be a lot of mistakes, a lot of failures, a lot of setbacks, but I'm excited for it because all of those things are really going to build this empire that I'm so excited and I'm dreamt of. Let those failures and the mistakes come. I'm not scared of it. I'm truly, I embrace those things because it makes me a better person. It builds that strength, you know, it builds strength within that courage muscle that we all don't get tested if we don't take chances, if we don't take risks. And having courage doesn't mean you're not scared, but you're scared and you do it anyways. And getting that message out there, burning those ships, taking a chance on yourself to really step into what your heart's been called to do in this world. It takes embracing what failures might come with that decision. It comes with embracing mistakes and not letting those setbacks hold you back. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, so many people take 1 or 2 failures in life and they call it a day. It's just not for them. I'm not supposed to do that. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the pain or the what was sacrificed in that decision. And I think that when you reframe that failure and mistake as being a detrimental catalyst and it's not worth moving forward to, you know what, this is not a dead end, but this is a hurdle. It's not a dead end. It is a hurdle. And I'm not going to let this be what keeps me from truly stepping into my greatness in life, but I'm only going to let this truly build that strength even more so, because when it's easy, you don't truly appreciate it. But when you have to work for it, that appreciation for what you are building it's a night and day comparison. The way you appreciate something when it has that value to it, that I have worked sweat and tears for this. I've you know, done everything I can to create the life that I want to live. And with those setbacks, with those mistakes, with those failures, it does not make me a fraud if I have those failures, if I have those mistakes, but it makes me a better person. It's an opportunity to grow. And if you're not growing, then you're dying, in my opinion. If you're not pushing yourself to learn more, to immerse yourself in being a student of life and not being scared if you get an F on that test, but you know what, I'll study harder next time. Let me try something new. Maybe that mistake is just a red alert from life telling you this isn't the right thing. Let's pivot. And being open to pivoting when you have those failures and mistakes in life. So on to the next one and last one, my favorite, rewriting your story. I love this one so much because for me personally, I really had to sit down with myself and write out the story of who I used to be and the story of who I am and who I'm becoming. Because I think that identity shift of stepping into, for myself, like I said, stepping into being a bartender to becoming a coach, like night and day. Like I listen to your problems, but instead of handing you a double, instead of a single, I hand you ways to truly change your life, you know? And for me, sitting down with myself and telling myself that these limiting beliefs that I had did not belong to this identity of who I'm becoming. They belong to the girl that used to be, not the person I am today. And for you guys, I want you to really, you know, if you did the Tony Robbins challenge, which I think a couple of y'all did, we really sat down with identity and we named that old person. We named that old version of ourselves that no longer served us, that held us back from taking action in our lives, that told us that we weren't good enough, that had that imposter syndrome keeping us back from really embracing that level of greatness that we were put on this earth for that purpose that your heart's been called to. And, you know, naming that person really allowed us to shift that identity from who we are in this moment to who we used to be. I am no longer that person. I no longer hold on to that story. That no longer has to hold me back from who I'm becoming and who I am in this moment now. Because if I held on to the story that I used to tell myself of who I could and what I could and couldn't do, then every time I went live, that imposter syndrome would slip on and tell me, who am I to go live to tell someone about, you know, getting up and showing yourself self-love and self-care when you still have moments that you don't show yourself that. Well, again, I'm not perfect, but who am I not to share these things that I know that I'm still facing with every day? Who am I to not share my experiences? I'm someone who is open, who is vulnerable, who is a leader, who is here to teach the masses on how to love themselves, how to find their voice, how to find their confidence. That is my new story. And it is the old story of Victoria. Icky Vicky was her name. Icky Vicky used to hold herself back, used to dim her glow because she felt like she was too extra for everyone else, who used to not ever, ever, ever see her worth at all. That was non-existent. And stepping into this person that I am, I truly and wholeheartedly love every soul, every cell in my body down to my soul. I truly love this person I've become. I've created this person, you know, and we all have what it takes to create the person we want to become. We all have that within us. And it's the story that you tell yourself that you get to rewrite that to become that person. You have that power. But it's about telling yourself, this story no longer serves me. I am breaking free of the shackles of this old story and this old identity that has told me that I'm not good enough, that I don't know enough, that they're going to find me out, that I'm a fraud in this field. I'm too young, too inexperienced, that I don't have what it takes to make it. That unless it's so hard and challenging, it's probably not going to work. All these limiting beliefs in my head that when I'm good at something, I tell myself, why are you good at this? Like I start to second guess why I'm good at something instead of embracing my skills, instead of embracing who I've become with the skills that I have and how I can use that to truly help others who have been where I am, or help others where I used to be in my story. Because becoming a coach, it was really hard for me to rewrite that story. It was really hard for me to shed that old identity and step into this person that I was becoming. And I think for you guys, looking at your story now and looking at that narrative that you tell yourself, what does that narrative sound like? Is it something that you would tell a loved one? Is it something that you could say to yourself out loud in the mirror and be okay with that? If it's not, then it's time to start rewriting. If it's not, it's time to close that chapter and start writing a new one. Because at the end of the day, your identity and who you are, you have the capabilities of becoming anyone you want to become. There is nothing on this world at all that can hold you back. That is your birthright. Your self-worth, your self-love, and your story, I believe, is all of yours. Every single one here watching and in the replay, if you're not watching live right now, all of you guys have the birthright to become the person you truly feel like your heart has called you to be. There's no circumstances, there's no experiences, there's no, oh, Victoria, you don't know what I've been through or what I've done in the past. It doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. It doesn't matter where you were born, who you were born to, what your upbringing looked like. Mine wasn't perfect. My dad died when I was 12. I had to become a parent at 12 years old. You know, it wasn't perfect. And I went through a very, very long battle with addiction because of that. But for me, I'm not going to let that hold me back. I'm going to help that push me forward and step into my greatness. My story of being scared of failure, of being scared of not looking like I'm enough or being too much and being extra, I'm going to embrace my extraness and my fierceness. I'm not going to hide who I am because I'm scared that it might intimidate people. If it intimidate you, then you're not my people, you know? And if you're too extra for someone, then they're not your people, you know? Don't let the story of who you were hold you back from becoming the person you want to become, from taking action, even if it's imperfect. Embrace imperfect action. Like, to me, it's one of those things that I did a Tony Robbins challenge. I keep name dropping him, but I will. Back in, oh goodness, October. So between August and October, I was, really stuck in that creativity bubble, really stuck in trying to find my identity as a coach, because everybody in my coaching program was very pretty and pretty colors and very quiet and very like kumbaya coach. Like, that's what I like to call it. Very positive thinking. And we're going to talk quietly and we're going to breathe into our feelings and breathe out our emotions or whatever. Right. Like, and that's just not who I am. I'm very tough love, in your face, motivation, high energy, like just go, go, go. I'm a go-getter. And I was just trying to write a story that wasn't mine. I was trying to write my story of someone who I wasn't wanting to become anyways, but I felt like I needed to fit into this square peg when I was a round hole, vice versa. I was a square peg, they were a round hole. There we go. Anyways, with that being said, figuring out, and after that summit, it opened my eyes that I was just sitting in this creativity bubble of writing my story of who I thought I should become. The expectations of the outside world telling me, oh, well, coaches do this, and coaches have pretty colors and light things, and they talk quietly, and they're very peaceful, and they're not high energy, and they're not this. And it's like, no, I got to rewrite my story and become the coach that I am today, because I gave myself permission to, because I broke free of those expectations, those shackles, that story telling me I couldn't be this kind of coach. That who would want to work with a coach that's high energy and tough love? There's people that do. I was telling myself there wasn't, but there are. And for me, it's like dropping that story that held me back and embracing imperfect action truly was the catalyst that pivoted me in my coaching career. It pivoted me into stepping into this identity. And yes, it was uncomfortable. Yes, there was a lot of setbacks. Yes, there was a lot of self-doubt and moments of imperfection at its finest. But with that being said, I still moved forward. I did not let it hold me back. If anything, I pivoted. And then I pivoted again. And then I did 360 and I kept pivoting. You know, I kept moving the needle and going in a different direction if it didn't work. You know, and it's about getting your message out there and not letting your old story hold you back from rewriting your new one. So, all right, we're moving along. So, question for you guys. If you want to be open, share it in the comments. If you want to share this with yourself, share this with yourself. What is holding you back right now from moving forward with your goals, dreams, and ambitions? That question I asked myself, and it was a really hard pill to swallow. Because it was that story, that narrative, that identity of my old version of myself speaking in the back of my head, like, who do you think you are? They're never going to buy into this. They still see you as who you used to be. And this identity of becoming a coach, you know, you need to get your shit together, Victoria. You're not ready. What is holding you back from moving forward with your goals, dreams, and ambitions? For me, it was really breaking free from those shackles of perfection, breaking free from those limiting beliefs, telling myself that I was too young, I was too inexperienced. Hell, I've been through more life than a lot of people. I might as well have a Lifetime movie about what I went through when I was younger. It's one of those things that I had to break up with that in order to pursue that. To pursue the goal of living at my WFA, my working from anywhere life, and being a full-time coach and helping those who feel stuck, who feel like they can't move forward, who can't take action. They don't know what their voice as a coach looks like. I've developed into this coach now that I broke up with the limiting beliefs not that long ago that told me I didn't have enough experience, that I didn't have what it takes to help another coach really find their voice as a coach. It's what I just went through. It's one of the biggest pain points that I almost did not move forward with my coaching career because I had such perfectionist ideas and ideologies about what a coach looks like. What does their day-to-day routine look like? And if it didn't stay in alignment with that, then who was I to move forward? I broke free from that and truly branded myself and stepped into that. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Oh, I love it so much. Thank you guys so much for sharing. All right. It was a fear of not being taken seriously. Yes. Oh my gosh. I wholeheartedly believe that. I'm right there with you, Michelle. I definitely feel you so much. Fear of not being accepted because I'm too much. Sherry, girl, oh my God, I'm right there with you. Do not dim your glow for those who squint. Do not, I'm gonna repeat that again. Do not dim your glow for those who squint, because guess what? Your people will be attracted to that light, will be attracted to that glow. You know, thinking I need to be perfect before I take action. Yes. Oh my gosh. I completely wholeheartedly resonate with that so much, Ray. For me, it was like, I had to have everything perfect. Everything was in alignment perfectly. And then I take action. And for me, like breaking through that limiting belief of perfection means that I'm ready to get started. I have to have everything perfect. Then I can get started. No, it was embracing imperfect action and being disturbed with inaction. You know, moving that needle forward, no matter how slow it moved, it was moving. It was at least going to move, you know, and, you know, healing and figuring out how much to reach financial freedom without digging a deeper hole to get there. Oh my gosh, Kara, I fucking feel you, babe. I cannot resonate with that more. I think, you know, it's embracing that fear of, you know, failure and mistakes, and knowing that if you never take a chance, you'll never know. If you never ask, the answer is always no, you know? And for me, I definitely wholeheartedly resonate with that so much, and truly believing that I have the discipline and courage. And girl, you definitely do. It's definitely inside of you. I truly and wholeheartedly believe that, because I wouldn't say it. I don't lie. I can't lie. You would know. You would know all over my face. So, and how has limiting beliefs held you back from investing in yourself, from maybe starting that business, or just simply taking action? Writing this stuff out, it's easy to think about because then it's a deleted thought immediately when you start to realize how ugly those answers are. But when you write this stuff down and you face it, you have now created your starting point, and you can create actions out of that. Okay, if those are your limiting beliefs right now, what do you need to do to move the needle forward? What do you need to rewrite? Is it rewriting your story? Is it making friends with failure? Is it truly and wholeheartedly stepping into this next identity of yourself and giving yourself permission to move forward? That it's okay to fuck up. It's okay. That it's not always going to be perfect. It's not going to always be easy. There's going to be setbacks, but realizing if you keep moving forward, that setback will be a setup for a comeback for you. That your story does not end with a failure. That is just a hurdle, but not a dead end. Realizing that you have everything you need to succeed already inside of you. It's just about tapping into that and not being scared, but taking action anyways, taking actions outside of being scared, And I think that it's really easy to have these expectations of what we think we should be, or how all the experience that we need to have, or all the schooling, or all those pieces of paper. I'm not trying to talk down on schooling or anything like that, but it's a piece of paper. And a lot of people think that they need to go through that when you're becoming a coach. A lot of people need to realize their biggest pain point in their own life is something that they can coach people on and make a living off of that. A lot of coaches do. They don't need to go get certification programs and all that. That's all good and well. And if you feel like you need it, I'm not going against it, because I did that, because I told myself I had to do that in order to become a coach. And now that I'm on the other side of things, I realize everyone has enough life experience to get out there, to get their message out there, to make their message to their message, to really step into that next level in life. And oh, Ben, I definitely resonate with that for sure. Not believing that I can consistently show up and create a clear, coherent message that isn't all over the place. I definitely agree with that. In the beginning, I just wanted to please the masses, just make content that anybody who would listen to me would like, instead of really narrowing it down and figuring out who I really wanted to speak to in that message, in that content. Afraid of what those that know me will think of standing up and saying what I believe without offending people, including family. I definitely feel you on that, Ben, so very much. I think it's very easy to have these not expectations, but, not wanting to step on toes, and expecting that there's certain content or there's certain messages that aren't going to resonate with people. And when it's family, it makes it messy. I definitely agree with that. My grandpa is the dean of the college I used to go to when I first got out of high school. And when I told him I wasn't going back to school for nursing, because that was always the plan, is to go, Victoria's going to go to school for nursing. And, for me, I never took action for that. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I didn't take action doing that. But the courage I had to go tell him I wasn't going back to college, woof, that was a hard pill to swallow for him, because he had these expectations for me. And he told me, like, this isn't a real job. What are you doing? You're throwing away your life. When I told 28 people to keep myself accountable about the day I'd be leaving my full-time job, my 9 to 5. I had so many people tell me, what the fuck are you thinking, Victoria? You're going to leave job security? How are you going to make it as a coach? How many clients do you even have right now? How's that going to even work? What is coaching anyways? It's all great to be motivational, but like, how are you going to make this into a living? How are you going to make it? Well, guess what? I'm going to make it, because there's no other option. I've written in my story that I'm going to be resilient against failure, resilient against the people who don't believe in me. Let that be the fuel that fires, that pushes me forward, instead of falling into the self-doubt because other people doubt my dreams. There's no such thing. There is no glass ceiling that my dreams are kept under. It is sky is the limit. And for those of you who feel like getting out there, getting your message out there is going to make people feel uncomfortable, well, you're not responsible for how they'll react. And, I've created a Facebook group so that I can, I can voice what I want, how I want. I let people in, whoever I want in. So that's been a big thing that I've seen a lot of people do, is that, when they're scared of what their family's going to say, they're scared of how to get that message out there correctly. Starting a Facebook group really gives you that freedom to just try it out, try different things out, pull people into that group and create a community for yourself, outside of Facebook. Because Facebook, for me, I have so many people from my past life, from the bartending days, that will like and comment. And I know certain people will like and comment that definitely aren't coming from a place of friendliness, if you know what I mean. And I had to break free of what they think about me. I don't care. That is not my responsibility. I know who I am down to my soul, and I know who I'm becoming. And because you knew the old version of me does not mean you know the new version of me. That old story, that old identity is not something I hold on to, because it no longer serves me. And having to break free of those limiting beliefs to think that I have to create content for everyone, or people wouldn't like me, that I had to please the masses instead of pleasing my ideal clients, and narrowing that down. There's nothing wrong with creating content for anyone. I'm all about it. Almost all my content is about, it has a message. And in the beginning, it was very, very vague. I'm slowly learning to narrow that down to where when I'm talking into that camera, I'm talking to my dream client. I'm talking to those people that I want to work with, because I know what it's like to feel fraudulent becoming a new coach, finding that voice and branding yourself in social media, that people used to see you as one thing and now you're something else. And for people to take you seriously, for me to be, at any age, becoming an entrepreneur is something that people have their own perception of what that means. And not a lot of people respect it, or respect what comes with that role in life. Because as an entrepreneur, that's like, your job, your business is your baby. It comes before almost everything in life. And learning to appreciate where people are at with their perception of what you should be doing, and appreciating, okay, that's how you feel. I respect it. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it, but I respect that that's your opinion. But that's not my responsibility to be scared that someone's not going to agree with the life decisions I made, or with what I put out there. Because again, if it doesn't resonate with them, then they're not my people, Yes, sharing a story without family. Yes, I know, Sherry, right? I think a lot of people have that fear at the end of the day of not coming across, or not offending, or wanting to put your story out there, but not put it out there in a way that's going to make someone upset. Yeah, good for you. Good for you guys. Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for sharing all of this. Awesome. 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 So how can I help? So at the end of this, if you guys have questions on truly figuring out how to have that confidence in your message that you're putting out there, in your content that you're putting out there, I think it's really hard to, when you're in that first transition place, to really figure out what your voice is, what's your message, and how to direct it to your dream clients. For me, it was very much so like, stop trying to please the masses, Victoria. Who do you really want to talk to? And finding that confidence when I go live every time. It's not about having a script ready. I've gotten really good about just going with it, right? But not a lot of people have that kind of confidence to get on the screen and tell people this is what they do, this is who they serve. Now, who wants change? Who's ready for that transformation? And embracing that role as a coach online. Because that voice, the voice that you put out there when you brand yourself, it's a painful process. If you know anything about the branding process on a cow, right? Like, it's a painful process. But it's one of those things that it truly sets in for life. And it's one of those things that you have to show that authority on your Facebook page. Like, this is who I am. I'm an expert in this field. It burns. Yes, it does. Yes, it does, Ben. It does burn. And it's about embracing that and having that clarity on who you're talking to, who you want to be as a coach. What does that look like for you? Do you want to keep it small? Or do you want to, serve the masses? What does that look like? And finding that content and creating content that really speaks to who you want to serve, because it's easy to create content for everyone. It gets pretty hard when you're narrowing that down, and you've got to tell yourself, like, it's not to say you won't have the exceptions outside of your ideal client, but when you create content for that ideal client, that person who has been searching for you their entire life, when you create content around those people, it truly makes finding those dream clients so much easier. And it's not about getting on all these calls to see how you can help them, just to find out that you can't, or that you don't want to. Because as a coach, guess what? You get to be picky. You don't have to just work with anyone who will pay you. You get to decide who you want to work with. And you don't have to work with people just because you can help them doesn't mean that you're the only one on this earth that can. I had to accept that pill. It was a hard one to swallow, but I had to accept that pill that just because I can help someone doesn't mean that I have to be their coach. I can always refer someone to someone else. It is not my responsibility to take on the weight of other people's problems and be Miss Fix-It over here, because that's who I am. Like, if you come to me with a problem, I'm going to help you in any way I can. But it got to the point where I'm like, are these people filling my cup? Am I excited to get on these coaching calls? Or are these people draining me, draining me of my sanity? And it's okay if people aren't your people. If that ideal client, you deserve to work with that ideal client. You don't have to work with every single person, and realizing that and stepping into that confident of like, this is who I work with. These are my, like we talked about in the challenge this week, those non-negotiables are key to truly having a thriving coaching business, that you don't resent the clients. You don't resent what they're paying you. You don't resent it. You love it. You thrive in it instead of just surviving in it and getting all these calls. Oh, all right, let's do this. Like being excited to get in front of the camera and see how this person's doing and walking them through their transformation, because it can be a beautiful one. And especially when you go into it with an excited mentality about it and excited to work with someone instead of, oh shit, we got to work with this one again. Like no one wants to do that. No one wants, this is when you're a coach, you're your own boss. You don't have to hate your job. You get to love your job. You get to create whatever you want to create out of it. And it's all about writing that story in alignment with who you want to coach, who you want to become. Even if you aren't a coach, what you want your life to live like, what you want your life to look like. What is that end goal for you? And creating those goals along the way and being excited about life again, because right now there's so much uncertainty. Having the control over what you can is truly key to keeping sanity nowadays. For me, it's like I had zero control over being unemployed before. I had zero control over the COVID numbers that the TV was telling me, or this or that, like so many things out of my control. For me, it was like, how do I find control in my life again? And it came from rewriting the story of someone who didn't take her health and fitness seriously, her self-love, self-worth, and confidence seriously, to developing the person that you guys see today. I had control on how I showed up in life. Even outside of the circumstances that we're all facing, we have that control. We get to choose how we show up. So it's up to you guys to really step into who do I want to become? Who do I want to serve? What message do I have to share with the world? Because everyone has a message. Everyone has a voice that's worth hearing. And I promise you that. So I do have free clarity calls. If you guys would like to jump on a call to see how I can help you and give you some insight, maybe to figure out, like, I'm, maybe not your ideal coach, right? You might not be my ideal client, but it doesn't mean that I can't help you in some way, shape, or form. Or maybe refer you because I've got a Rolodex. If you know what a Rolodex is, a Rolodex of coaches in my tribe, that I'm so big on just kind of helping others find that, be that person that connects people. Because, I've got that specific ideal client for me. And so it's like, I don't like to shimmy off that too much. I have my exceptions, right? But how can I help you in any way, shape, or form? And with that being said, I will drop that link right here. Let's see if I can do this. Again, this is Masterclass number 2, and I didn't have any technical errors. So I'm really actually pretty excited that it decided to work for me today. You guys give me a thumbs up in the comments if you guys have had, or if you haven't had any issues technical wise. All right, let's see if I can put this in here. Boom. Okay. No tech issues. Yay. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, I wanted to keep this at about an hour. I didn't want to take much more of your time. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys want some insight, some help, some clarity, and at the end of the day, it's not even about, me finding clients through this, but it's about me being a service to you guys. And if I'm not that person, I can possibly be that person that connects you with someone to a pain point that you're having, so that you can find that clarity and that confidence, and truly that taking that next step into finding your greatness in life. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I truly just loved this class so very much, because this is something that's very, kind of fresh in my journey of becoming a coach. So I definitely wanted to share this message with you all. I am going to be still sending out the replay. So if you didn't take notes or if you tuned in late, you guys can start from the beginning and really move forward with the whole process. And again, the link for my clarity call is in the chat. Again, it's just free 30 minutes on how I can help you find a little bit of clarity. So with that being said, you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. And until next time, stay victorious. Mwah. Bye guys.